the access we do have, we might be in a position of opening up doors for other partners and players out there as they can to us. So I think the key element here is to understand it's a very complex market. It's very heterogeneous. There's not one model that works across the board for these different types of companies.
From your perspective, how much has the market changed and thinking capital's position in the market, this ecosystem you talk about in the past decade?
There's companies in the US I think have started to pave the way, Bluevine, Fundbox, you name it. And then there's a whole SMB ecosystem of software companies out there that are working with providers of that nature, whereas lending of some sort or financing of some sort is part of that SMB ecosystem. So think of it, SMB market traditionally was less sophisticated, but it's going to have to become more and more sophisticated, especially if you want to take on some of the larger players out there. The efficiencies you need to garnish from products and software and access to capital and the ability to provide services to different intermediaries within your business ecosystem. Those are all things that people are looking for efficiencies on. And again, I think a lot of this is born from what we've expected as consumers as well. The 10, 15 years ago, there were certain expectations in terms of how you accessed B2C type services or products. And that in itself has evolved. And now that is starting to transform itself in the context of the B2B, SMB. It used to be just the big companies were comfortable automating all these functions we talked about. But now, in order to compete, you see the evolution of the neobank and other financing tools and credit cards for small businesses. All those things are evolving. Very, very important for thinking capital play a role in that evolution and in that context. And again, with the access we do have, we might be in a position of opening up doors for other partners and players out there as they can to us. So I think the key element here is to understand it's a very complex market. It's very heterogeneous. There's not one model that works across the board for these different types of companies. It's definitely sometimes a vertical approach that might work one way versus another, but it's born out of product, market access, services that you can provide. But there's one thing that's common is that people want to have access to these services in a similar way to what they get from their B2C experiences, which have just evolved much more efficiently over the course of time. And now that expectation is on the shoulders of companies like Thinking Capital and Intuit and other companies out there that have grown in this SMB marketplace and are kind of required to take these next steps to basically meet the expectations that these small, medium business companies have as it relates to the adoption of their technology and where they can go next.